1983, when The House of Long Shadows came out. It's start over. Well, it's time to get back to doing a thing which I ended up missing last year, but I will make up for this year, and that is spooky Halloween horror film reviews. And we're kicking things off going back to 1983. The film, The House of the Long Shadows. Now, when this film came out, it was heavily panned by critics of the time as being derivative of the old film Seven Keys to Broadpate, that the ending undermined the story, and it didn't have much for scares. I, however, would argue that the critics of the time were simply not picking up what this movie was putting down. So what is House of the Long Shadows putting down? Well, that's answered by the film's cast. We have Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, John Barrymore, and Sheila Keith. Also, this isn't a pure horror film, it's a horror comedy. In this case, this is the studio that released the film, Golden Globe, is saying, you know, in all those Amicus films that I on this channel have covered in the past, we have all these great British horror actors, and while all the individual stories are fine, they rarely got any time together. Yeah, there was the framing stories that set the story up, but they never really spent any screen time bouncing off each other. So what if we made our own equivalent of Roger Corman's The Raven? Because that's what this is. The Raven was putting Karloff, Laurie, and Price together and having them comedically snark and snipe at each other to the point that Laurie improvised some of his dialogue to kind of up the comedy a bit. While I can't say if there's any similar improv here, the sentiment feels the same. The fact that the plot is built around the story being something of a family reunion, with the various horror actors being different parts of this family, makes this work even better. This is a family reunion. All of these actors, to a certain degree, have been were in the various Amicus films, and certainly were titans of a particular era of horror cinema throughout the 60s and 70s. And certainly, since these actors have been together in the past, Lee and Cushing obviously with Hammer, Price and Cushing with Madhouse and Amicus, Price and Lee with Scream and Scream Again, but never all three in once, and certainly not all three plus Barrymore. Now, if you're expecting the horror icons to crank up the tall, dark, and spooky, you'll be kind of disappointed. This is, again, horror comedy. Lee does get the opportunity to bring the menace, and he absolutely can, but Price and Cushing do not. There is a singular gore effect in this film, which is nicely done, but if you start this film in your media player or streaming service or what have you, and see the Golden Globus and Cannon Films logo and go, oh, Cannon Films, bring on the gore at the opening credits, you will be sadly disappointed. All of that said, I had a blast with this movie. This film brings together, much as The Raven did, three of the great horror actors of this era, and lets them play off each other in a fun way. If only we'd gotten something similar with, say, Robert Englund, Brad Dourif, and Doug Bradley. You know, Chucky, Freddy, Pinhead. Oh, I mean, all three of those actors are still around, so, you know, fingers crossed. As it is, there's a Kino Lorber Blu-ray release that I absolutely recommend picking up, and I'll have a doobly-doo link for where you can get it yourself. All, of course, links to the purchases through those links help support the show. Next time, we're continuing with the spoopiness rather than the spookiness with Horror Express. Stepping into the public domain a little bit.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. And also consider backing my Patreon. Patreon backers get episodes up to 1 week early of this show and any future Let's Plays. Also, please consider backing my Ko-fi. Tossing me a few bucks also helps support the show, and it's not a monthly obligation or anything like that.